Díobh Vorgade Fáilte Rash, welcome back. Micheál here from Grinds 360. In today's class, we are going to get you done in verse 1 for the summary images for Ghrá-sa by Nuala Ní Dhomhnaill. Now remember, the images are key, and we need to stop learning off sample answers for absolutely every possible scenario. We just need our images, and no matter what they ask us, it always comes back to the images. So let's get you started with today's video. A nice short simple video, and let's go through verse number 1 on Ghrá-sa. See the word goburb? We've had this numerous times. Goburb means abruptly, and again, if you're feeling a little bit fancy, you can actually go as far as gyrisk as well, and that whole phrase means abruptly. So Osclín an Fille an Dawn, the poet opens the poem go gyrisk goburb, abruptly. And if you feel like you can add on a little bit more, we can add on this part here, nota dúilteach, on a negative note. So again, abruptly and on a negative note. Now I've used those sentences and phrases in different parts of the poetry course as well. Now, next part. We know the word dahul. Everybody understands dahul as being good looking or attractive, but let's go back to this word here, tairngteach. Tairngteach also means good looking and attractive as well. We use this for lishin in Harlamabach. We used it in Neve in Oisín Idir Lúibíní. So again, hopefully it's a word that you're starting to see on an awful lot of the course. So Níl an fear, the man is not dahul or tairngteach. Now we have the word tairngteach for attractive. We have it here, tairngteach. I'm going to add in the word me, and now it becomes unattractive. So mi hairngteach. Mi hairngteach fad means totally unattractive, completely unattractive, or really unattractive. Ugly, basically. So in Sin an Fille Dún, the poet tells us go bhfuil an fear that the man is. So go bhfuil an fear that the man is mi hairngteach fad, totally unattractive. A lovely phrase that we get to use quite often. Sanam shahui heart, in times gone by. So sanam shahui heart, in times gone by. And let's go for this part here. Gomparaj le, in comparison with. Same structure as English. In comparison with roses. Gomparaj le rosana. Now the first part of your sentence. Chur na fur ban. The men put a woman. Chur na fur ban. The men put a woman, a gomparaj le rosna, in comparison with roses. Now, Ivan Marshin, images like that, or an image like that, V, was, were. And we have the word anachachinta, very common, very usual, anachachinta, snadan de gra in the love poems. Now we have a nice phrase as well coming up for you here. Trada rev, I'm going to highlight that there for you in blue. Trada rev means once upon a time. Now if we were in a class together, I would say to you, how many of you know another phrase in Irish that begins with the letter F? That means a long, long, long time ago. And you'd probably all think, fado, fado. Perfect, right. So fado, fado is a fantastic phrase, but we only really use fado, fado when we're talking about maybe mythology and folklore. It'd be like you using the sentence once upon a time. You don't really kind of use that in English, so we kind of wouldn't use that as well in Irish. Trada rev is a lovely way of saying a long time ago, once upon a time. Right. Iavana, Alia, B. Two. Cócéim in Irish is a similar footing. So on lanon, a chur cócéim le, to place the lover on a similar footing to, or to place the lover on equal footing to. And the first part we have there is in unat, which means instead of. So draw this together. Instead of placing the lover on an equal footing with, and in this case we have nature. Ger an fille, the poet says, nach bhfuil ein cosúlacht. Now, nach bhfuil ein cosúlacht, that there is no similarity. Nach bhfuil ein cosúlacht, that there is no similarity, le blah, with flowers. Now, here's the thing. It's quite a long phrase, I get that. So, what you can do, if you want to leave this part out, you can. And you can just take it from the start and say, Ger an fille, the poet says, and then nach bhfuil ein cosúlacht, that there is no similarity with flowers. So again, you can leave that section out if you find that a little bit too much. Leave it out. A nice phrase we have here then is morab onan agus fado, unlike a long, long time ago. Morab onan, unlike a long, long time ago. Níl an fille noun. The poet is not able. So níl an fille noun, the poet is not able. Blachana a chur a gompraid le. We've had this expression already here. So I'm going to highlight this in red. So a chur a gompraid le. To put flowers in comparison with. To put flowers in comparison with. Allianon, her lover. Allianon. Now, the last part you have there then is Curtamagos. Will you put an NB beside that? Curtamagos means I give you the case, I give you the example, and this is what we've been saying in a couple of our videos. Let's start introducing our quotes to our examiners because it takes that look off it. Now, the next part we're going to go on to then is the second part of verse number 1, right? It's Irene Corsi Nice Massa. We're going to put these two together. Now, don't worry about the length. If you're thinking this is looking quite long here, Michal, that's grand. We're going to shorten it. So you get to pick what you want to use and what you decide you want to use, and you can cast away what you don't want to use. So let's go for this as well. Irene Corsi Nice Massa. I like this phrase. Things get worse. Things become worse than are booked for the poor man. So things become worse for the poor man. Treshin, you have seen numerous times. Treshin an fille means reinforces. So the poet reinforces, the poet strengthens. She strengthens navaljacht on Lianon. Now, in this, you can see the word aljacht, which means beauty, beautiful, but navaljacht, we're going to call it what it is here, folks. It's the ugliness of the lover, the ugliness of the partner. So she reinforces navaljacht on Lianon. She reinforces his ugliness. Ní féidir leis an fille fear a chur a gomparad le cran. Now let's go for this one, right? A chur a gomparad le, to put in comparison with. To put in comparison with. And we've got the word cran there for a tree. So, to put in comparison with a tree. What's the first part? Ní féidir leis an fille. The poet is not able to put something in comparison with a tree. And who can she not put in a comparison with a tree? It's an fear. It's the man. It's the poor man. Now, what does all this mean? He is so unattractive. She can't even say there's a nice quality he shares with a tree. So she cannot place him in comparison to a tree. We have this word here, saulig, which just means imagine. So saulig, imagine, cran mór don amski. Now, cran mór, a big tree. Cran mór don, a big brown tree. And the word amski, if you want to add it in, you can. If you want to leave it out, you can as well. Amski means clumsy, amski. So imagine a big brown, awkward, clumsy tree in a chiasaf standing, and erhul on gargin at the back of a garden. She can't even say he has any nice qualities that he would share with a tree. So ní féidir leis an fille blá planned enough you cran a chur a gomparad lena Ghrá-sa. Let's go to the end of that phrase there again, because it's all about putting something into comparison. So let's go for that part here. A chur a gomparad, to put in comparison. Now, what can she not put into comparison? The first part. Ní féidir leis an fille. The poet is not able. Flowers. To put flowers in comparison. Planda, to put plants in comparison. Or cran, to put trees into comparison. Lena Ghrá-sa, with her true love. Will you put an NB beside that? That's one of the main things. That's one of the key points. The man is so unattractive. She can't compare him to a flower. She cannot compare him to a plant. She cannot compare him to a tree. She is going through all the different things she would see in nature, and she says, look, I can't, I'm trying my absolute best. She's struggling. I think Nuala Ní Dhomhnaill is fighting for her life here, trying to find something that she can say, do you know what? Something in nature is quite as pretty as you, but unfortunately she cannot. So a chur gomprad is our main part that we need to get in there to put in comparison to. Now, the man is not attractive. She's really hammering this home, so we need to keep saying that he is not dahul. He is not attractive. And let's go back and use a nice word again here for maltach. We talked about this. This is another word for unattractiveness, or attractive in Irish as well. Lishin in Harlamabach, Niamh Kenor in Oisín Idir Lúibíní. So he is not good looking or attractive. I like this phrase, ag déanamh ceap moggy, is making a laughing stock. Ag déanamh ceap moggy, making a laughing stock. So, tá an fille, the poet is ag déanamh ceap moggy, making a laughing stock, dina dáanta Ghrá, of the love poems. And then if you feel like you can add on a little bit more, Sanam Shahui Heart in times gone by, in the olden times, Sanam Shahui Heart. The word for joking, slagging, if I was to ask you in class, and I want you to think about it now, what word have you got for mocking, joking, or slagging, and it begins with the letter M? It's ag mogga. So if you got ag mogga, brilliant, and you can use that here if you'd like. I'm going to go for ag spocka os, which means slagging, jeering, mocking. So tá she is ag spocku os, slagging. She's slagging concept on Ghrá, the concept of love. Now we've got a couple of bits here in grey. Pick and choose what you'd like to use. So I'm going to go through these. Drim lava, we've seen before in the class, which means to shun, right? So, tugging on filia, the poet gives the back of the hand. The poet shuns tradition. She shuns the old tradition, where men would have objectified somebody, where men would have compared somebody to being the most beautiful rose, the most beautiful hawthorn tree, the sun, the moon, and the stars. Nuala Ní Dhomhnaill's like, do you know what? This chap, he's not it. Unfortunately, he is not good looking at all. So she shuns that fake tradition. Sheelan Gulan Curtius Macanta. This is quite important. Macanta here, that's the word for honest. So I'm going to tell my examiner, Sheelan, I think, go will on Curtius, that the description is Macanta, honest. And if you feel like you want to stop there, you can just take that out. If you want to go and add in a little bit more of a word there, you can go for this word here, réadúil, realistic. And I have to say, I do think she's actually been quite realistic about her husband. She's not falsifying, she's not being fake, she's being very genuine. She's saying, look, he's not the best looking person, but there's a message. Buanan an fila usa, the poet makes use of. She makes use of these things called Lúibíní, and Lúibíní is the Irish for brackets. So she uses Lúibíní. Now why does she use the Lúibíní? She uses the brackets con é seo a léirú doing, in order to show us this. Con é seo a léirú doing. The brackets are very, very important. We're going to have a little bit of a question on the brackets and the importance of the brackets in later videos, but they're really, really important. So she makes use of brackets to show us that she's being kind of honest. So what we're going to do is I want to just put in one little reference to the brackets here for you, right? And I'm going to say is cosúil. Now is cosúil means it seems as if, it looks as if, it appears as if. Any of those are perfect. So is cosúil, it looks as if. Go will on filia, that the poet is. So go will on filia, that the poet is. Ag kaintlim, talking to us. So when we go through the brackets, that's kind of what it feels like. It's like that she's talking to us in mo runver, in a secret manner. So runver is the word for secret, or secretive if you want. Now, as always, folks, we want to make sure that we have picked up and we've hit the revise button there. And again, we're going to make sure that we have that ticked, that we have revised it in our class. Don't forget to go back to your contents page, tick off that you've watched the video, tick off that you've translated the material, and tick off that you understood the context, which is Nuala Ní Dhomhnaill husband is not attractive at all, basically. Right, Acharja, I'm going to scoot on then. We're going to go for verse number 2. Very short, very, very short videos. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Very, very quick, a couple of minutes. So I'll see you over on the next video then. Acharja, good to be in Wagaf. Slán Inish.